Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over a tarot reading that I did for myself yesterday regarding some weight regain that I've been dealing with recently. I've been having a really tough week mentally, and so last night I decided to pull some cards for myself, and I thought it would be really helpful if I did a video so that I could go through how I interpreted the reading and how that is helping me to illuminate the next steps that I need to take in my weight loss surgery journey so that I can feel like I am aligned with the path that I want to be on again. So last night I was feeling really down. I had a tough week and a tough day, especially yesterday. And overall, I've just been feeling really drained, deflated, and overall just stuck. And my spiritual mentor, Kelly Monster, the other day posted a very serendipitous post about how there is no such thing as feeling stuck. That feeling stuck is either one of two things. You are either resisting action or you are resisting surrender to something. And this post was so illuminating to me. I was like, that's it. That's what's happening. I am resisting action 100%. I just can't seem to move. I'm just stuck literally in the mud, and the thing I need to do is do an action and another action and just keep taking actions until the ball is rolling on its own. So I was pretty sure of myself. I thought, this is it, I know what's up, I'm not stuck, I'm just resisting action, etc. But then I was looking at, I have an app and every day it draws a card for me. And yesterday, which was the 11th day of the month, I had already drawn 3 of the same card, the Hangman, that indicates you need to surrender. And so of course I was like, well, that's weird. Like, I've been drawing cards from this app for months and I've never gotten the same card so many times. And so I looked at the card and I was like, that's weird, the Hangman, surrender, surrender. And then I remembered Kelly's post and I said to myself, wow, like the cards really needed me to hear this message, so they kind of banged me over the head with it. And they were like, you need to surrender. And so I said to myself, I think it's time to pick up my deck and see what that means and how I can move forward. And so last night I was feeling a little bit down after having a tough day, and so I said, how can I sort of end this day on a good note? And so I picked up my cards and I thought, let's get some clarity so that when I wake up in the morning I know kind of what direction I'm going in. And so I drew 3 cards. What are the messages that I need to hear from the universe right now? So the first card I drew is the 8 of Cups. There you go. Nice look. This card has special meaning for me. This is the card that I called in for 2021. This card signifies sort of an enlightenment, a achieving of a higher self, if you will. And so this card for me really represents me coming into my own spiritual journey and sort of embodying that higher energetic self that has been within me this whole time. But I've really had the chance to get to know her and become her this year. When I drew this card, I knew that the cards were telling me that it's okay, I'm on the right path, that I need to just keep doing what I'm doing and to remember that this is the path that I'm on to reach my high self, to get in touch with my spiritual self, to consistently check in with my intuition and get on that path and stay on that path. Then I drew the 2 of Cups. Now this card is a reminder to reach out to my support system, and in this case in particular to reach out to my significant other as a resource, as a support buddy, if you will. And it's a reminder that if we do reach out to those around us, we will get the support that we need. And in order to do that, we need to actually reach out and ask for that support. And so I think for me, this is especially saying that, I haven't been using this resource enough and I should tap into that, because this resource will help me when I am feeling stuck. And so if I sort of talk through that process with my significant other, then the next time this happens, he'll be a little bit more aware of what that entails and might be able to be a more sort of objective party when I'm kind of feeling sort of lost and stuck in myself. And so this card just is a reminder to look outwards, to your support system. You can't do this alone. No matter what people tell you, you need support on the way, and don't forget about that support. Don't forget to let them in, and let them support you the way that you deserve to be supported. Okay, so the third card I drew, I'm chuckling because I drew none other than the Hanged Man. Now, as I said earlier in this video, my tarot app had already given this card to me 3 times this month, and it's only the 11th of the month. So getting this card again was just sort of another slap in the face. You need to surrender. Surrender, surrender, surrender. And so I've been like, I don't understand what that means. This whole time I thought that being stuck meant I was resisting action. I don't understand what surrender means. And so I asked the cards, how am I supposed to surrender? And drew 3 more. So the first 2 really just kind of go together nicely. I drew the Fool and the Wheel of Fortune. And so the Wheel of Fortune is a reminder that on this journey, there are ups and downs, and you need to stay on that Ferris wheel on the downs so that you can experience the ups. You need to just ride the ride, keep staying on the ride. Even when it's hard, you just keep going and you'll reach the top again, and sometimes you'll go down, but it's just really the circle of life, the circle of this journey, the nature of this journey, the nature of many journeys, but you need to just stick it out, keep going, and sometimes we need to reconnect with what it was like when we were at the beginning of this journey. So the Fool really represents you when you were pre-op. You knew nothing. You didn't know what you were getting yourself into. No one told you anything. You had to figure it all out on your own. You were a disaster. You had things flying left and right. And so this card is just reminding you to embody some of that curiosity, some of that tenacity that is still within you, but sometimes we need to sort of reach back down and humble ourselves. Sometimes we need to remember not only how far we've come, but how easy it is to kind of slide back into that person that knew nothing. We have come so far, we know so much now, and we have those tools ready to keep us on track and to keep us going, and we should use those tools because we now have them and we have earned them. So this card is just a reminder of that. And then finally I drew the Page of Swords, and I just had a feeling that I was going to draw this card because I've been really feeling resistant to journaling lately, although it's just been calling me. I know that I've had a lot of feelings and thoughts going on in my head, and I know that the only way to kind of work through those is to journal. Write them down, write down what I'm thinking, write down my thoughts about what I'm thinking, my thoughts about my thoughts, etc. And so this Page of Swords is reminding me that I just need to put pen to paper and take some time to write down the things I'm grateful for, write down my thoughts, write down things, just anything that's on my mind, because if it's in my mind, it's a mess, and if it's not down on paper, I'm able to sort through it and kind of really see it in a more objective light. And I used to have a very strong journaling practice where I would journal every morning. I would do my gratitude journal, and then I would write down any sort of thoughts that came up overnight. And that habit has kind of not been as regular in my life. And so this card is kind of a reminder that that was a really strong habit that I had early on in this journey. And maybe it's time to kind of reintroduce and reestablish some of those earlier habits. Like I said, remembering what we were like at the beginning of this journey, maybe recalling some of what those tactics were that helped me at the beginning of the journey. And so for me, that was things like journaling, things like tracking my food, just keeping a food journal, and really getting sort of an objective view of what it was that I was consuming and putting in my body, and what was the makeup of those things, and how were those things making me feel, really. Because that's the important thing, is how do the foods that you put into your body, how do they nourish you, and how do they make you feel? Because if they don't make you feel good, then why are we continuing to put those in our body? And so those are some of the earlier on tactics that I had. And so after pulling all of these cards, I was like, okay, I think I've gotten the messages. And then I was about to gather all my cards, and then another card fell out from the top, as tarot does. And the Queen of Cups. This cup card is sort of representative of me in my highest, most intuitive self. I am a Pisces, so I really kind of vibe with this card as it representing me in my highest being. And it really contrasts the Fool card. So this is kind of like a balance between me being at my highest self and me being at the beginning of this journey, and remembering that when we have this Wheel of Fortune, this wheel of life, this circle of the journey, the ups and downs, that we are really just teetering between these two selves, really, us at the beginning and us at our highest self. And so all of this to say that the surrender that I've been wondering about, what am I supposed to surrender to? Why am I feeling stuck? What does surrender have to do with being stuck? And why am I resisting this surrender? And the reality of it is that I need to surrender to the fact that even though in many ways I've reached this sort of enlightened higher self and reached this much more intuitive spiritual level in many, many ways, I am also still that same beginner, that same person initiating this journey, and that sometimes we just need to go back to those basic steps that worked for us in the beginning, because even though we may think that we're here, we're ready to run free and be sort of at this highest self and sort of fly on our own, it's not a linear journey. And for me, this highest self means, in a quite literal way, in terms of weight loss surgery, this means having food freedom, being able to intuitively listen to my body, know what it wants and what it needs to eat, and what is going to make me feel full and satiated and energized and full of vitality. These things are not a one and done deal. I still need to sometimes go back to the basics and just sit down and understand what it is that I'm putting in my body and relearn. And in this process of relearning, you need to just continue being open and surrendering to that path of relearning your relationship with food, and surrendering to the path that it's going to take a while before you're completely free and on your own. And sometimes it means going back to where you were, but eventually you're going to move in one step forward towards this higher self. So I hope that this reading resonated with you in some way. I think that it's hard to understand how tarot can help us in our weight loss surgery journeys if we don't actually see a spread being interpreted and read by someone. And so I hope that me reading this spread about myself, trying to understand my weight regain, trying to understand what my next steps are and how I can get back on track with those steps. And to be crystal clear about it, the cards are telling me that even though I've made a lot of progress with my spiritual journey, I've reached a point where I need to go back to my basics. I need to surrender to the fact that I am not going to be 100% of the time at that highest, most intuitive, most spiritual self, and that I'm still learning, I'm still on this journey, and I need to humble myself to the fact that sometimes you need to just go back to basics and go back to the things that worked for you in the beginning and remember how those things made you feel aligned and made you feel like you were on track and in the right direction. And for me, those things, as the cards were reminding me, are journaling and food journaling, which for me is much more expansive than food tracking. It means not only understanding what it is that I put in my body, but how it makes me feel, and understanding the big picture of what I need to eat in a day to make me feel at my top level, my most energetic and aligned self. Thank you so much for joining me today in this reading. Please let me know in the comments below how these cards resonated with you or how anything I said in the video resonated with you. And if you are looking for more readings like this, or if you're looking to do a one-on-one reading with me, check out my website. It'll be linked down below so you can book a one-on-one reading with me. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye.